So much has changed in Tennessee since 1999. Over the years, our state has experienced remarkable economic growth. Recognizing the rapid changes on the horizon, 25 years ago, Phil Bredesen saw the need to protect the landscapes that define the character of Tennessee. His forward-thinking response? The creation of the Land Trust for Tennessee, ensuring that beloved places remain part of our state's identity for generations to come.
Most meetings of the Metro Historical Commission were approving markers or going over historical facts that need to be highlighted. But I'll remember in 1998, this building on West End, the Jacksonian Apartments, was going to be torn down by a developer and turned into a Walgreens. We were almost in panic about losing this jewel of West End near Vanderbilt. After the meeting ended, I was walking out to my car, and on the sidewalk, there was Phil Bredesen, the mayor of Nashville. And so I said, "Mayor, you know about the Jacksonian on West End. They're going to tear it down and build a Walgreens there." And he was just stunned and shocked. And from all this meeting, I had all this paperwork in my hand, and I just thrust them into his hands. It's like, "Please take these, read these." And so he looked at this and said, "I have to do something about this." We lost the battle, but after that, Phil Bredesen realized that we needed tools in our toolbox and entities that could look at properties that were important and not preserve them at the last minute, that we needed to kind of identify things and have partnerships that can take that role in perpetuity and preserve this for generations and generations and generations.
Phil was in the last year of his mayor term. His chief of staff had moved on, and Jeanie Nelson was considering leaving Washington, D.C. and coming back to Tennessee. So I called Phil and said, "You know what, I think I've got your candidate for your chief of staff." And he said, "Well, that sounds interesting, but I've got a better idea." He said, "You know that land trust we've been talking about? Wouldn't she be wonderful to lead it?"
The initiation of the land trust idea starts with a lunch. And Phil said, what we're really missing in Tennessee is a strong, visionary land trust. And he said, "I'll do it now while I'm in the mayor's office if you'll do it with me." I said, "You bet."
I remember the real birth of the land trust was in my living room. We'd found Jeanie, who wanted to run it, willing to do it, called people together. I can still see them sitting around there, some on the couch and some on a chair and a couple leaning up against the fireplace. And there were people from across the spectrum, business people and not-for-profit people and staunch Republicans and staunch Democrats.
Business people, environmentalists, conservation people. And then he said, "I want to start a land trust in Tennessee. Are any of you interested?" We all were interested. And that group, to a person, became the founding board.
The Land Trust for Tennessee was established and the real work began. The Preston family in Leiper's Fork were the first landowners to step forward. Today, Leiper's Fork stands as a living showcase of the organization's mission to safeguard the places that make our state unique.
In the mid-90s, there was a lot of growth going on in Williamson County. Since we were along the Natchez Trace, there was so much history here. The cultural landscape was so valuable. A lot of music artists and producers and songwriters, a lot of those kind of folks joined in with us and different people, and we cobbled together quite a bit of property out here along the Natchez Trace corridor. Phil Bredesen had this idea of something called a land trust. And so they came out kind of on the first date to present the idea, and we just said sold.
That was quite important. When people would say, "Well, I'm not quite sure what that conservation easement is," we could say, "Well, you know that property just south of Leiper's Fork that looks so beautiful? It's going to look like that forever."
Since its founding, the Land Trust for Tennessee has conserved over 136,000 acres across 76 counties. Locally, they are known as problem solvers. Nationally, they've earned a reputation as conservation leaders. Their work protects everything from stunning vistas and wildlife habitats to nearly 600 miles of rivers and streams, trails for biking and hiking, and vast forests. Historic landscapes, productive farms, and cherished public parks are all safeguarded through their efforts. the Land Trust for Tennessee has truly fulfilled the statewide mission envisioned by its founders.
I love that the Land Trust preserves publicly held property for everyone to enjoy. And I think it's important that no matter where you live, you can be in nature. You can step back, and it brings us back to who we are.
I spent 10 years in New York City, but I actually went to high school in Shelby County in Memphis. We came back to Tennessee mainly to raise our family. So I initially started out doing some volunteering projects with the Land Trust, and we were with a group of like-minded volunteers who cared about nature and conservation. There's not a lot in our world that lasts forever nowadays. Everything's about instant gratification, and land is really the source of life. We need to preserve it, to protect it, because that's the legacy that we'll leave behind for our kids.
I think one of the big misunderstandings of certainly farmers is when they put an easement on their property, they think perhaps that we give up control of that land. But it does not mean that at all. You can still hunt, you can still fish, you can still carry out farming practices. When you have a clear vision of what you want for your land, it makes it a lot easier.
Someone who's thinking about putting their land into land trust for future generations wants to feel assured that the land trust is going to be there for future generations. And having some of the kind of really solid people that existed in Middle Tennessee to take part in this, that was really the magic sauce to make it all work, and it continues to be to this day.
The Land Trust for Tennessee has staff who have stayed with the organization as it's grown. And that's really unusual for a nonprofit to have such institutional memory. It's so valuable to have people who have that sustained relationship with donors, with landowners, when you're in a relationship business.
People are always just wanting to pick up the phone and ask, what does the Land Trust think? Or would the Land Trust make a statement? Because they're just known as being problem solvers. I just think the Land Trust has something special and unique. It's the entrepreneurial spirit and the energy, and it still exists today and is going to be what carries the organization for the next 25, next 100 years and on.
Fortunately, the Land Trust has got people in its current management with Liz and with the board. They're thinking strategically about how do we take care of business today with what we're doing, but what does the future look like 10 years from now? How do we need to evolve?
25 years in to perpetuity we feel very young. We're just starting to see maybe the second or third owner of a protected property. And so in 2019, we worked on a strategic conservation plan, and it allows us to make data-driven decisions about which properties we're going to protect. It also guides us on where we want to do our outreach and reach landowners that have the highest conservation value land across the state.
5, 6 generations down the road, people are not even going to know who Bill McEwen was, except maybe a picture. And it gives me a lot of peace of mind to know that I've got an organization that is around for the long haul to carry out my vision.
The Land Trust for Tennessee's story of its first 25 years is an incredible one. For the next 25 years, we need more people to become a part of the story and invest in the future of the Land Trust for Tennessee.
Bridgestone Arena, the Country Music Hall of Fame. Bredesen built a lot, but he was most proud of creating some green space. At the end of the day, you can build a lot, but it's what you preserve and how it's used in the future that he was most passionate about.
On this milestone anniversary, the Land Trust for Tennessee proudly honors Phil Bredesen for his visionary leadership that sparked a movement to protect our state's most unique landscapes. They also celebrate every individual, family, and partner who has become a part of the Land Trust's remarkable story. Land conservation transcends politics. It unites us all in a shared mission to conserve unique landscapes for future generations. Together, we're ensuring that these irreplaceable lands will continue to enrich lives forever.
To those of you who've been part of the Land Trust, who've supported it financially, who've worked with it, who've put land in it, thank you very much. For those who haven't yet, I guess I'd ask you, be a part of the story. I mean, the land trust story is about people from all walks of life and different views of the world who come together to do something that's really important for future generations. Be part of the story.